My name's Dewey Oxburger. My friends call me Ox. You might have noticed that I got a slight weight problem. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I went to this doctor. Well, he told me I swallow a lot of aggression, along with a lot of pizzas. Pizzas. I'm basically a shy person. I'm a shy guy. He suggested taking one of these aggression training courses. You know, these aggression training courses like EST, those types of things. Anyway, it costs $400. $400 to join this thing? Well, I didn't have the money. I thought to myself, join the army. It's free. So I figured, while I'm here, I'll lose a few pounds. And you got what, a 6 to 8 week training program here? A real tough one? Well, it's perfect for me. I'm gonna walk out of here a lean, mean fighting machine.
There she was, just a walking down the street, singing do-a-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-do. You look good.
Look good.
You look fine.
Look fine.
She looked good.
Look fine.
She looked good. All right, hi, I'm Nick.
I'm Hunter.
And this is NYC Actors Talk Film. It's been a while since we've recorded an episode. I mean, for you guys, you know, you've just been listening to our Robin Williams miniseries. But we took a little bit of a break. We recorded a bunch of episodes, you know, ahead of schedule. So it's been a while. Now we're back.
We back. And I might be a little rusty. I don't know about you, Nick, but I might be a little rusty.
I might be a little rusty too. Let's see what happens. You know, let's just give it a go. Let's see what happens. Let's do it. Welcome to NYC Actors Talk Film. It's a podcast where we go through actors' filmography and most prolific work. And this is the beginning of our next miniseries, NYC Actors Talk John Candy. Now, this won't be as intense as Robin Williams. Just in general, like John Candy was an all-around lighter guy than him. You know, still very funny and did a lot of, you know, dramatic roles as well. But you know, we're gonna do less movies,
Yeah.
and we're gonna and I think it'll just be a lighter, breezier time. And not to say that, you know, the Robin Williams one was hard to do, but you know, this one's just gonna be a little more loose, a little more fun.
Yeah, I'm interested in doing John Candy because like the only movie that I've like really seen of his is Cool Runnings. So all of these movies are kind of like new to me. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, I've seen Stripes. I've seen this movie before, and I've seen Planes, Trains, Automobiles, and I've seen him in like Blues Brothers and a couple of other movies, but that's about it. So yeah, this is going to be, you know, kind of a journey for both of us, I think.
Yeah.
So once again, even though they're very old movies, for us, it'll be new John Candy movies.
New John Candy.
New John Candy movies, baby. So we're going to just talk about, you know, what is considered, you know, his best roles, and we're just going to kind of talk about his life a little bit, you know, the history of John Candy and his career and everything. So, yeah, guys, welcome to NYC Actors Talk. Welcome to NYC Actors Talk, John Candy.
John Candy.
John Candy. And we have a very special guest today for our Stripes episode because we're talking about Stripes. Stripes. All right. Sorry, I'm getting a little too crazy here. Yeah, we have a very special guest today, Private Xander Kozak. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey.
Are you making fun of me, soldier?
No.
I will not stand for that in my army.
No, sir.
No, sir. Sir, I'm not a sir. I work for a living.
Sorry, ma'am?
Oh,
Ma'am?
Yeah, tell us a little about yourself. About, you know, so you're military, right?
Yes. I'm in the military. I'm a combat medic in the U.S. Army National Guard. I'm also an emergency medical technician, actor, singer, comedian, writer. All of that has taken a pretty big hiatus for the last 3 years to focus mostly on the FDNY and the military. And, you know, last year definitely took a lot of my time up because of COVID. It was a nonstop storm for us first responders.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. For all of us in general, yeah, we've had to kind of just wait around a bit.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And
I
do
know.
podcast episodes.
Yes, I'm very excited to be here. I've not done anything like this in a number of years now, so this will be great. And I love military movies. I especially love military comedies like Stripes because I don't know if you know this about the U.S. Army, but
They're not as funny. They're not as funny.
it's very silly. It's much sillier than one person would know.
Oh, so it's sillier. Okay, okay.
For real, I went to basic training, and I knew a little bit about what to expect. Obviously, you get all of your decisions are pretty much made for you. You have no phone, you have no freedom, you have no hair, and you have drill sergeants at your every corner waiting to basically just scream at you until the thing they want done is done. But there's also a very interesting amount of silliness involved to it. Like, you know how you were in kindergarten and your teacher would like teach you certain audio cues that you would all do together at a certain moment? It's exactly like that in basic training. Like if we're walking somewhere and someone got lost and had to turn around, the drill sergeant would go rerouting, and he would fully expect you to go rerouting, exactly like that. And if he's teaching you something that he feels probably should have been obvious to you, he has to go, oh, and then the whole crowd goes, oh, and it felt very, very kindergarten at times.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So does this movie, like, is some of it kind of relatable in a way?
Some of it, yes. About 90% of this movie is not accurate.
Well, yeah, that's to be expected. Yeah.
But it's a very, very silly comedy, and it's got the same spirit as the silliness of the U.S. Army. So I don't give a crap.
So would you, Xander? I have a question. Would you consider yourself like the Bill Murray of the military?
Oh God, no.
Okay, maybe like John Candy.
No. I try to be completely squared away. I try to do as best I can.
That was a trick question, and you passed. You passed.
It's the first time I've succeeded at something in a while. But the movie's also really smart with a lot of its jokes. Like, if you take a look at the beginning of the movie where they actually arrived at basic training, they arrive at a place called Fort Arnold. No such place exists. But that's actually a really, really subtle, smart joke if you're a history buff. So back in the 1800s, there was a Fort Arnold named for General Benedict Arnold. But as soon as it was figured out that he's not such a nice guy and his favorite thing ever is treason, they renamed it to the now famous military academy up north here in New York, known as West Point.
You know, treason is also my favorite thing to do.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. I wanted to get into treason. I've been doing too many good things in the army lately, so.
Interesting stuff. All right, so before we really get into the nitty gritty of Stripes, let's just go around and talk about our thoughts and feelings. Maybe initial thoughts. Right? This is the first time you've seen it, Hunter.
Yeah, this is my first time. Yeah.
So what you think? What you think?
All right, so I don't know. I watched this yesterday, and then like I went back and watched a few scenes like of it last night, and I like it, and it's so enjoyable. I think like watching it is like just kind of a good time, but I don't know if I'll ever like watch it again, if that makes sense. Like because I was thinking like even I know this is John Candy, but like terms of Bill Murray, because Bill Murray was getting big. Like this was right after Caddyshack and then right before Ghostbusters, and I was like, this isn't like a Caddyshack and it's not like a Ghostbusters, so like it really is like an in between movie.
That's interesting that you say that, because I kind of see it as kind of a Ghostbusters-esque movie, because like he's kind of playing the same character as like his character in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, like the Bill Murray is so good. John Candy is John Candy made me audibly laugh like a few times. But yeah, I don't know if this is up there with like some of my like favorite 80s like comedies, but I don't know. That's that's my initial thoughts on it.
No, yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, and you know, there's the kind of, I don't know if critique, but like kind of observation, like, oh, Bill Murray's kind of playing this same character over and over again in every movie he's in, and I get that, but like, yeah, he's just so funny and he's so good at it that like, why would you want him to not do that? I don't know. You know, you know, that's for a different series, NYC
Yeah, right.
Actors Talk. Billy Boy, but this is Johnny Boy, a Johnny Boy podcast, but yeah, I've seen this movie twice now. The first time I watched it, I really enjoyed it. I was laughing a lot, and I watched it again last night, and I still laughed at certain key scenes. But yeah, Hunter, you probably wouldn't want to watch this again from the way you described it, because yeah, I don't think you would have as good of a time, just because you were already saying like, I don't know if I even want to watch this again. So
Yeah.
So I would say not as good as the first time I watched it, but still funny, still a good time. It's kind of just one of those movies that's just like, yeah, like easy breezy, just kind of like, let's just kind of have this comedy set piece and then let's move on to the next comedy set piece. There's not really a big through line or anything. It doesn't have to per se, but like, you know, it really doesn't have that. But Bill Murray's great. John Candy's very funny. That he has a bunch of standout scenes in the movie. He's not in it a lot, but the scenes that he's in are very memorable, very notable. So, yeah, it's okay. It's an okay movie for me, but I do enjoy some parts very much, and I do laugh at very key moments.
I do too. I think it's still funny. I grew up with this movie, so I've got more of a fondness for it for nostalgia reasons and whatnot. It doesn't age quite as well as something like Animal House. You know,
really? Because I would very much disagree with you, only because I recently watched Animal House and I was like, wow, they can never make this movie again.
No, they could never make that movie again. They could never make Blazing Saddles again, but those movies still give me uproarious laughter, where this one mostly just gives me warm, reminiscent chuckles.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
It kind of feels like you're watching old footage of a bunch of frat brothers enjoying life and having fun, pretty much. Like, you get that they're always going to feel like this is more of a special thing to them than the audience would ever feel, I think. It sounds maybe a little too harsh, because I do love this movie. It's very silly and very fun. I just don't think it aged as well as some of the other comedies in that era. But I think it is a very important point in John Candy's career in particular, because yeah, he was a Second City brat, and with those characters. I think Harold Ramis was also part of that as well.
Yeah, and it's actually funny. Like, quite a few SCTV, Second City TV members are in this movie. Yeah, not only obviously does John Candy show up in the movie, but yeah, Harold Ramis, Dave Thomas shows up at one point. I don't know if you would know him, Hunter. He's what's him and Rick Moranis? What's the duo called? Anyway, if you don't get that reference, I'm of course referring to Strange Brew, a very funny movie. Bob and Doug McKenzie, there we go, the McKenzie brothers. Their characters kind of originated on SCTV, and then they made a movie and a Christmas album, iconic Christmas album, let me tell you. Anyway, very funny duo. Anyway, Dave Thomas shows up in the movie as the announcer guy for the Mud Girl ring, CD ring.
Which I was reading that was like an improvised, like they didn't John Candy didn't know that he was going to be doing that.
Oh yeah,
and it was just kind of like an on the spot thing.
And like he was very uncomfortable with doing scenes that were just fat jokes, that were just about his weight. Like, oh, isn't it funny? He's fat, and so he was very uncomfortable doing scenes like that. So Ivan Reitman, the director of the movie, had to kind of talk him into it.
Yep, yeah. It It's like therapy while making the movie. No, you're doing great, buddy. You can do it.
Exactly. So he was kind of most likely suffering through that scene. I mean, like it's his most iconic scene for a reason. It is funny, but like I totally get why he wouldn't love doing that because it is a bit dated. Like, haha, just the joke is just that he's big.
Now.
Yeah, it's a little hard to watch now, but it's still funny, and I get, you know, and I get his complaints or his concern at the moment, in the moment, you know, doing that scene. But yeah, like I'm, you know, it does show though, like, you know, how kind of larger than life, no pun intended, sorry, larger than life, his role was.
Sorry.
That scene, yeah, that scene, and then another scene in particular, I think, are really important to the testament of his ability to do comedy. Like he was so dedicated to the craft, he would put himself in these uncomfortable situations just because he knew it would make people laugh. And there's another scene I want to talk about earlier in the film. There's the scene where he gets his head shaved. So, like that scene. Scenes like that in movies where the trainees are getting their head shaved, that's always a really touching moment for me because that's the moment, like that's really the moment where you understand that there's no turning back. Like you did get on the plane, you did get on the bus, you met the drill sergeant, you did your push-ups and stuff, you get uniforms, but honestly, it still feels not so real until you get that buzz cut, and then you look at your battle buddies to the left and right of you, and you're all the same. Like, that's the moment you realize there's no turning back. And then in this movie, John Candy was not aware that they were using actual Army barbers. So he's getting his head shaved for real, and his look of horror is 100% not a performance. It's real. And you see him walking out of the door with his hair in his hand, just looking at it like a dead pet, and he's just so depressed, but he knew it would make people laugh, so he just went along with it. And then just to add insult to injury, you've got Harold Ramis and Bill Murray walking out with just trims, which of course would not be the case. You know, every trainee is the same. They do
like let me touch on that for a second because it's so funny to me that like everyone else has their head shaved except for our main stars Harold Ramis and Bill Murray. They of course they're you know they're hot shit. They're big stars at this time. So like they're not gonna get their heads shaved.
Yeah, and that's literally the only reason why. It's just because they're big names. I don't know.
And then actually in that scene, John Candy like kind of strangles Harold Ramis and is like, "Why didn't they cut your hair?
Yeah.
Why is your hair so long?"
Yes.
Yeah, that part I was like, all right, I get it, hot shit, but I was like, that's so stupid to me.
I absolutely agree with you, Hunter. It's like commit to the craft.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I get it. Like, it's like, oh, silly comedy, but it's like, hey, so, you know what I mean? It's like
it'll grow back.
Exactly.
Although that didn't bother me. We're gonna go off topic for just a sec. That didn't bother me as much as one very small detail, which is it's a me problem that I shouldn't have, but I do just because of who I am. If you are a drill sergeant, like Warren Oates' character plays Drill Sergeant Polka, everybody in the movie just calls him Sergeant, and that started to tick away at my brain, because if you're a drill sergeant, you always address that person as Drill Sergeant now. Like when they're at work, you don't call them Sergeant anymore. They have that drill in front of their name. Even if you're a captain, you still call him Drill Sergeant Polka. But the whole movie, no one calls him that, and that made me irrationally like upset. And I wish I could fix that, but I can't now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's. Do you think, or I don't know the history of that at all, but like, did that change over time, or was it like that in the 80s too, and they just didn't do it?
As far as I know, it's always been like that, but I'm totally okay with being proven wrong on that. I'm almost certain that it's always been like that. And I also know what happens if you screw up and call him Sergeant instead of Drill Sergeant when you're a trainee.
I have to know.
Oh, let's see. It happened to one dude.
Give me the goods. Give me the goods.
It happened to one dude who was forced to grab sandbags, go down these set of stairs to a pit where there was more sand, empty the sandbag, refill it up, and then run back up the stairs and do the same thing with another sandbag. And the drill sergeant just kind of did that to him until he got bored.
Until he got bored.
Yeah, for
Oh
real.
my gosh.
No, they came up with.
Oh, you can stop now.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of tired, actually. So I don't want.
You know,
They
could you
came
give
up
me
with
some?
very silly ways to
Can you give me
smoke
some warm milk? Maybe my baba.
My baba. Oh man.
For real, they once put us all in the push-up position and watched 2 episodes of Friends while we sat there.
Torture?
They call it corrective training.
I mean, was it season 10?
I do not remember. All I remember was the pain from sitting in push-up position.
Because
Oh,
if it's
man.
season 10, I get the pain. I get it.
Yep.
No, not again!
No.
No!
But, like, the basic training in this movie is definitely not as tough as it actually is, for obvious reasons. I do feel like they could have made it tougher and found a way to make it funny that way. You know, I feel like there's a way to do that they didn't go all in on. They may have pulled their punches slightly on that. Like, I love Warren Oates in the role. I just wish he was tougher. You know?
Yeah, I thought he was actually pretty tough. So I love that your critique is I wish he was tougher. Because I'm already like, whoa, dude, take it easy, man. Take it easy.
Like, there's certainly a lot more screaming involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet.
Well, he doesn't he punch Bill Murray?
Yeah, that's the way it used to be. Like, for real, that's the way it used to be. It's definitely not like that anymore.
I mean, that's pretty tough.
I'd punch him too.
For real.
I'd punch him too.
I'd punch him too. I was like, you're being a jackass.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah.
Like, there's usually a trainee who thinks he's better than all the drill sergeants, and he wants to step up and puff out his chest like a gorilla. And the way it used to be was like a drill sergeant would take that dude off to a corner or behind a building and be like, all right, let's go. No, I'm serious. Swing at me. And then the drill sergeant will just teach him a lesson, not enough to cause actual harm, but enough to be like, this is going to be tough if you do not start acting right. So just deal with it. And yeah, that stuff used to happen. It does not happen like that anymore. You know, like a drill sergeant would lose their job if they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So yeah, let's just kind of go back a little bit into the start of the movie, just to kind of go through at least like the major things that happen in it. So,
Sure.
So Stripes was originally supposed to be a Cheech and Chong movie of all things. Ivan Reitman was supposed to direct that, but then the manager wanted like 25% of the share, and he wasn't willing to give that up, and so he made it like a Bill Murray, Harold Ramis joint instead. You know, Bill Murray, was like, I must work with Harold Ramis. I can't work with anyone else. If I don't do this with Harold Ramis, I'm out of here. So even then, he was kind of like very demanding, and like even in his early career, he was already like, look, if we don't get this done, I'm not doing the fucking movie. So that was pretty crazy. And so yeah, Harold Ramis, you know, obviously that you get it. Their chemistry is very good in general, just in a bunch of stuff. As I mentioned, you know, they were in Second City together. Bill Murray obviously moved on to SNL after a little bit, but you know, like John Candy and the rest of them kind of stayed on, and then they did SCTV with, you know, as I mentioned, John Candy, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, Schitt's Creek fame, Joe Flaherty, Martin Short, Rick Moranis, Harold Ramis, as I mentioned. So yeah, a bunch of comedy legends. Very funny show. I just watched some clips of it recently, and yeah, it's pretty funny stuff. And John Candy plays just like a wide variety of characters in it. It's very funny. Even in that era, he was playing just like larger than life characters. Pun very much intended.
You know who was originally supposed to play the Harold Ramis role, right?
I think Dennis Quaid was in the mix.
Yeah. Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
He was married to PJ Souls, who plays one of the main chicks in the film. He was married to her at the time. In fact, you can actually see Dennis Quaid in this movie at the end of the film. He's in the crowd of the graduation. It's a blink and you'll miss a cameo, but he's there.
Oh, interesting.
Dang. Yeah, I think it's for the best that Dennis Quaid didn't play this role. Also, wasn't Chevy Chase up for Bill Murray's character too?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean they kind of have like the same. I don't want to say shtick, but like they play the same dudes.
They play fucking assholes.
Yeah. The only difference is that like sometimes like Bill Murray changes at the end, but Chevy Chase is still the same asshole, right?
Chevy Chase, just like in real life, Chevy Chase never changes.
Yeah.
And the Cheech and Chong stuff actually lives on slightly in the Judge Reinhold character of this movie. Because he's a big pothead. Pretty much all that was left of the jokes they were going to use went to Judge Reinhold's character.
Dude, I was so surprised to see him because like he's the guy in the Santa Claus, and I was like,
Yeah.
The guy from the Santa Claus is in this movie. Saying that I've never seen him in anything else, so that's why I was like, what?
Have you seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
No, I haven't.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because like everybody's like seen it.
Oh, I saw that recently. Yeah, I thought it was all right. It's once again, I think just all of those movies to me are just a little bit too dated for me to like completely enjoy now.
Maybe it doesn't age quite as well to the 2021 years.
I mean, it's still funny though. Like, don't get me wrong. There's funny stuff in it.
That's one of my favorite comedies from that era. I think it's one of the most quotable comedies ever, and just seeing Sean Penn do something different besides one of these crazy, intense characters is
Also, one of the most paused comedies of all time.
Well,
I will not get into that.
And now I'm
anyway.
like, why? Is it because it's bad?
No, look it up, Hunter. Look it up.
All right, I'll look it up.
Anyway, so John Candy. So a guy named Daniel Goldberg, who I'm assuming worked with John Candy, kind of recommended him to Ivan Reitman, so he didn't need to audition for the movie. He just got the part. So you know, John Candy has been in a few movies up to this point. He was in Blues Brothers. He was in
Spielberg's 1941, which was a really bad movie.
That's right. I've heard nothing but bad things, and it makes me want to watch it more. Just because, like, Spielberg, war comedy?
Yeah, you're right.
Warren Oates was in that film as well, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not good at all. But
hype. 1941 hype.
Like, you know, I wanted to like that movie. I hadn't seen it before, so I actually watched that.
Yeah, John Belushi's in it. A bunch of comedy people are in it, right?
I really wish.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd. Yeah.
This sounds amazing.
I know it sounds amazing, and I'm sad to hear that it's bad, but I really want to watch it.
I say we just watch it.
I say we just watch it.
Let's see.
No matter how bad a movie is, I'm not going to tell someone not to watch it because, you know, you might enjoy it. I did not.
That's true. Yeah. So the training that Bill Murray and PJ Souls did for the movie was about 3 days, and you know, I don't even understand why Bill Murray did even 3 days, because in the movie he doesn't he's not very good at being in the military. I don't even know why he needed 3 days.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be 2 weeks, but he lasted 3 days.
That's right. That was it. It was supposed to be 2 weeks. That's right. But he was like, "I'm Bill Murray," and they were like, "Okay, 3 days."
When I read that, I was like, that's more than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 days is more than I expected out of you. I didn't expect them to go to do anything like that for this movie.
Yeah, I think the only impressive military-like thing he does in this movie is the end of the second act when he does the march with the guns and everything.
Yeah, that's what's known as drill and ceremony, DNC.
Gotcha. So yeah, when he was doing really that, I think that was like the only like kind of impressive like
also
thing he did, like, you know, military wise.
That was really impressive, actually. In my basic training, we did not get that deep into it. We just basically did the basic right shoulder, arms, and stuff like that. And we didn't do any of the flippy, crazy stuff that everybody else did. Yeah, no, so that was legit impressive because that stuff.
Did you guys sing songs like Bill Murray and the gang?
Cadences, yeah, absolutely. When we're marching, we do cadences.
Hell yeah.
Most of our drill sergeants basically stuck to the basic ones because, again, times have evolved and certain things are not allowed anymore. And no songs really. It's basically just you got to treat the trainees like they're kind of dumb So you basically just give them something to repeat back to you, and if they get that, then we'll teach them more complicated cadences that can be like songs. But no, there were some fun ones. A lot of references to McDonald's randomly.
Nice.
Nice.
I love McDonald's.
There were some
Hell
really
yeah.
fun ones that we did, but when I finished basic training and went to medic school, I did that for 5 weeks, and then the pandemic hit, and everything changed for us overnight. So we didn't walk in formations anymore. We didn't do cadences anymore.
Dang.
Like we had to change our military bearing to adhere to social distancing, which blew my mind.
Yeah, I bet that would be like a super big change.
Yeah, it was crazy. They split our class in half
Oh,
and
wow.
did a morning and a night class just so that we could be more social distanced.
Interesting.
And it made things really, really difficult.
Yeah, I
And
bet.
speaking of the Army, sorry, Hunter. Speaking
go
of the
for it.
U.S. Army, they were actually, very, very supportive of the movie, and they were like, yeah, like, like we're all good with this. And Ivan Reitman was like, what? Like, I'm making you guys look like idiots here.
We already.
And see, like, look, Xander is confirming they are idiots. So I found that very interesting that like they can kind of make fun of the military, and the military was actually pretty cool with it.
Well, I read somewhere, I don't know if this is true, so feel free to say that I am absolutely wrong, but I read that like the Department of the Defense, like they have to like clear like all military movies. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it? Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, but if it's a comedy, they're gonna take it as well as an audience member would. Everybody loves to laugh at themselves.
I wish people did that more nowadays.
No.
I wish people were like, hey, we maybe we are buffoons. Maybe you should make fun of us.
It's all good to laugh.
It's good to laugh. It's good to laugh, guys. Anyway, so let's just kind of run through like the actual movie now, just for a bit. So like we start with Bill Murray. He's a jackass living in New York. He's a taxi driver. He's very disorganized, just like all of his roles. He's very dry. He's very sarcastic. He's very anarchic. So just basically his wheelhouse. But yeah, like he's playing that type of character, basically throughout. But we see him in New York, and yeah, he's, his girlfriend dumps him, and he's friends with Harold Ramis, and they decide to go sign up for the military, and so we meet these cast of characters like John Candy. He plays Ox, and they have this kind of first kind of group meeting session or whatever, just talking about like their lives or whatever, and apparently all of that was improvised.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why, because I didn't know the reason that he was uncomfortable doing the mud scene or whatever. That's why I was surprised to learn that just now, because like it was improvised and he like made fun of like himself, saying that he has a weight problem. So I was like, huh, interesting. I don't know, isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean, like I still get it. I mean, like there is a line where like you can kind of be like, hey, maybe I need to lose a couple of pounds, and then there's that scene, that mud scene, so like
right.
I do get it, but like, yeah, I mean it's interesting, how far he went with like making fun of his weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, one thing that I like, or that I wanted to point out, I've seen like it's bringing me back to Moscow on the Hudson for some reason, but I've seen more boobs in 80s movies than I've ever seen in my life. The first time that we see a girl, she's naked.
That's right.
I was like,
Murray's girlfriend, like she's just topless in the apartment, and that's it. Like
I know,
Yeah.
she just shows up topless. I guess that was for the boys.
I think
Oh,
it was
dude.
like maybe a
I was
state
like-
mandate at the time. Like if you're a woman in an 80s comedy, you have to be topless for at least 5 seconds.
Yeah, you can't be just funny.
You can't just be
that's great.
talented.
Come on. I mean, the guys can be just talented, but the girls,
yeah.
no. You got to show,
Oh, yeah,
some
no.
skin, baby.
Yeah, literally, like all of the women, I feel like.
Almost everyone.
Yeah, like
she
literally
was,
all of the women are objects in this movie. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bit
yeah.
it's a bit atrocious, and that's like some of the dated stuff that I kind of wanted to mention about this movie.
Yeah.
So like the mud scene is very funny, but it's so much of just an excuse to show naked ladies. Like there's literally like I think I picked like 5 shots where it's just nipples, or it's just, you know, like boobies.
There's a close. They cut to a close up, and it's just tits.
And it's
I
just
was like-
boobs. Exactly.
I was like, what the?
Yep.
What the hell? Like, jeez.
Everybody but Sean Young gets full frontal in this film. I'm even surprised she was able to escape it, but even just slightly, because you see her in a bath with Harold Ramis.
Right, because the whole movie we kind of see, you know, we go back and forth a little bit between, like, you know, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis, you know, training for the military, and then this sort of romantic subplot with these girls. Okay, military girls with their hair out, like their hairs are down, and, like, you know, they're just like total objects, and like these scenes where like Bill Murray is just like really forcing himself on to this girl, this blonde chick, and it's just like, look, Bill Murray's funny, and apparently he improvised some of those scenes and everything, like where he's like, what, using the spatula or whatever, which yee, Billy boy, watch out. But you know, it all that stuff is incredibly dated to me.
Yeah.
In fact, women in the Army can actually wear ponytails.
Right.
Do you know how long they've been allowed to do that? Like 2 months.
Really?
For real.
2 months.
Like, that became a mandate this year that women in the Army can have a ponytail. Before that, it was hair up above the collar and a bun.
Yeah, I remember seeing a Disney Channel movie. I forget what it was, but they had like the buns.
Cadet Kelly.
Yep.
With I know my military movies.
Yeah, that's my knowledge of women in the military. Cadet Kelly.
You're making our gender very proud, Hunter.
Tell you what, though, PJ Souls and Sean Young play military police, which is a whole entire career. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's police, but in the military. And I promise they would not be that nice. They would not be that sweet. Military police are tough.
Yeah, I have a friend that I did theater with who's now military police.
Yeah.
And the way he talks about it, like, that's so right.
Like, I'm fine with them being the romantic subplot for these two main characters. I just kind of wish there was more of a journey through their tough exteriors, like through the tough shells, to get to, oh, I'm attracted to these guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Ghostbusters is kind of the same thing where Bill Murray is like, hey, you love me, right? You love me. But at least, like, that, with him and Sigourney Weaver, like, that kind of romance has kind of a journey to it. It's not just like, hey, stop, I love you. You know, it's just, there's, like, literally no journey to it.
Yeah, I wrote this down, and I was like, they've had a total of 10 minutes of screen time. They're in love. Like, right when he's all like, you're hopelessly in love with me, right? You're hopelessly in love with me. And she's like, yes. I was like, it was the hardest I laughed the whole time. I was like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, and apparently Bill Murray did not like Sean Young, like, at all.
Really?
Yeah, but after doing this movie, he vowed to never work with her again.
Yeah, apparently she really didn't like him, like, improvising all the time and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I get how that can be frustrating, especially if, like, you know, you're... example, George C. Scott and Marlon Brando did a movie called The Formula. He hated Marlon Brando for the same exact reasons, because there were no two takes that were the same. Or even similar, really. It was just, everything was different.
Like, it was just, like, so wildly different and off the rails.
I get how that can be frustrating if you are not also on that level of performing where you can do that, but at the same time, like, there have been plenty of Bill Murray comedies before Stripes. You probably should have known what you were getting into, is what I'm saying. Like, if you weren't going to like that kind of a style of acting to work off of, I don't know.
Yeah, and can we just talk about, like, how crazy he is in this movie? Like, not only does in the, like, first minute he's, like, throwing stuff and like, you know, like in the very beginning, like, when he's giving the money to the guy, he's, like, kind of hiding it and then gives it to him. It's like crazy shit. Like, so many weird choices like that somehow work. And, like, yeah, what is it? Like, he has this paper in the beginning and he just kind of, like, throws it on the ground and leaves it and goes into the taxi. It's like all these, like, little things where he's just like, fuck it, and just, like, throws whatever he has in his hands, you know, and it's just crazy.
Just starting a parking ticket.
Yeah.
Right, that's right. He got a ticket. That's right, and he just, like, kind of throws it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
There's-
the basketball scene in the apartment.
I was just gonna
I
say.
was like, 80s comedy.
It felt so different than what the rest of the movie was like.
Yeah, actually, I've heard a lot of criticisms about like, oh, like the first 10 or so minutes are really funny, and then like the military stuff is like, and I get that a little bit. I still think the military stuff is funny, but like I think some of the funniest stuff in the movie are in the first like 10 or so minutes. Yeah.
Did you guys happen to watch the extended cut by any chance?
No.
No.
Okay. I watched the extended cut with an additional 14 minutes of footage. Would you like to know?
Boobies? More boobies?
No, not at all. Don't message me.
Hello?
I'm in the middle of an interview. How dare you? Okay, so the extra 14
Right when I talk about boobies, too.
Yeah, right?
What does that tell you? What does that tell you about yourself? The extra 14 minutes of footage was taken out of the theatrical cut because they thought it was too insane. And
Oh, I've heard about this. Yeah. Tell it. Yeah,
Here's what happened. They somehow acquire their civilian clothes in the middle of basic training and put them on. And then they take a bunch of acid. Like, a lot.
Hunter's like, relatable.
And they bullshit their way onto a special forces helicopter, which is run by a captain. They pose themselves, even though they're in civvies, and they are, I guess, in their 20s, even though they're 30 and 36 years old. They're in their 20s, but they're passing themselves off as a major and a captain in the Army. And they have no identification. They have no proof of it, but the captain in charge of Special Forces just kind of believes them and lets them come on this dangerous paratrooper mission to Colombia, where they then give acid to just about everyone they meet. And they, by the end of it, they wake up and they just walk back to the helicopter and go right back to basic training like nothing happened.
Yeah, that just sounds like such... It detracts from, like, everything. It's just this whole sequence, apparently, yeah, that just, like, has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. And it sounds amazing, and I kind of want to watch it, but I totally get why they cut it.
Probably on YouTube. I think at one point they even pour the rest of their LSD into, like, a pot of soup and feed it to a whole bunch of people.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion, this is a hot take, I'm of the opinion that it should have ended right after, like, they passed the basic training.
Okay, thank you, Hunter. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because,
yeah,
oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I thought that it was going to end, dude. I thought it was going to end, and then it kept going, and then this whole thing with the truck, I was
yeah,
like,
and we'll get into that, Hunter. We'll get into that,
Yeah,
but yeah, like, it's, so basically, yeah, we have these, you know, scenes, romantic scenes, and then the military scenes. They go into the city, and we have the mud scene. They get back, and they're all in trouble, you know, for going out and everything. So yeah, they're, you know, and so, like, Bill Murray has this pretty funny speech, I think, where, you know, he's trying to, like, no, we can do this, guys, and Harold Ramis is like, yeah, like, you know, we can cram stuff in 3 hours. Have you ever been to high school? And yeah, Bill Murray has this, like, funny speech, like, where he's just like, have you seen Old Yeller? Who hasn't cried? Who cried when the dog died? You know, and everyone raises their hands, of course. And so he kind of, like, riles them up, like, yeah, we can do this, guys. We can make it, we can pass basic training. And so we have this scene where, yeah, like, Bill Murray's singing these songs, and everyone's, you know, and it's kind of crazy, but they are kind of doing it right with the guns and the marching and everything. And I absolutely agree, Hunter. The movie should have ended there, because we have, like, I think 30 minutes after that sequence. Ivan Reitman himself is kind of embarrassed by the third act of the movie, and his justification anyway was just that, like, the army needed, like, a war to happen in the movie, like, but, you know, they needed, like, a conflict at the end of the movie, like, oh, okay, they should fight, you know, someone at the end of the movie, and, you know, and so for this movie they were fighting Russians and everything. So and I think, if I'm not wrong here, yeah, Ivan Reitman's birthplace, which is Czechoslovakia.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So mixed signals on that front. So Ivan Reitman wanted them to shoot in his birthplace, and they're the bad guys. So yeah, I definitely agree, Hunter, about the third act. It's kind of it's kind of boring. It's kind of bland, and not a lot happens. I mean, a lot happens, of course, but nothing like terribly funny or terribly exciting. It's just kind of like, okay, we need, I don't know, a big thing to happen at the end, and we need like a big fight.
I'd rather the acid trip.
That should have been the climax of the movie.
Exactly. I'd rather that than what we got. I was like, all right, I'm ready.
It actually kind of fits more with the movie, come to think of it, because it's so like, you know, like it has these hangout vibes, you know, they're just kind of like being bros, being friends or whatever, you know, in the military. So actually, I haven't seen that scene, but I'm actually more and more convinced now that the LSD scene might have worked better as an ending.
Yeah,
possibly. Although I do think that they should have put a Winnebago in there somehow, because that shit made me laugh real hard when they.
That is true. There are some funny lines in the movie, and I think it's mainly because of Bill Murray's delivery of those lines. I think he's just so good that like he can say anything and it'll be funny. And yeah, like they have this, what is it, this suburban like RV thing, and it's a weapon, and it's like at this point I'm like, what am I watching here? Like what is this?
Winnebago.
Where we go.
Screw it. If you reach that point in the movie, you might as well just drink the Kool-Aid on the ridiculousness and try to enjoy it at that point. I don't know. I wish.
Or take the LSD and enjoy the movie at this point.
I wish I had a military Winnebago to operate out of. That would. I would enjoy that very much.
But yeah, so the movie kind of wraps up at this point because, like, yeah, the gang, they're captured by Russians because Bill and Harold took the RV just to hang out with the girls. And so they're like, oh, wait, we messed up. We got to go back for them. And so they do fight. They save the gang. And we have this, I completely forgot, but we have this kind of, like, asshole kind of military. Is he a general or is he, what is he, sergeant?
Like John Larroquette?
Yeah, John Larroquette.
Captain.
Yeah, so he's a captain, and he's very funny in the movie too. There's one scene where he's kind of like peeping on the girls, which is a little problematic. Not gonna lie, not a little problematic, very very problematic. But he, besides that scene, he's very funny in the movie as this kind of antagonistic force, and he's kind of a stick in the mud, and you want to see him get his comeuppance, and he definitely does. So it's funny to see that. But anyway, so. They, Bill and Harold and the girls, they save the gang, and then we're kind of wrapping up here with, like, you know, yeah, they come back, and the crowd's there, you know, cheering them on and everything. We got newspapers of like, Bill Murray, can America survive? Which is a pretty funny joke about, like, yeah, are they doomed? Like, is this the face of the military now? And like, you know, of course. You know, because women are objects in the movie. So we cut to the blonde, and then we see a newspaper spin, and it's like, I don't know, she's a Playboy model or something. Great. Like what? Like I thought she was a military person. Now she's just like a model. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're kind of wrapping up, and like Bill Murray's out with his sunglasses, and I thought that was very funny. Just like, you know, him just being like, "Hey, what's going on here? Oh, this is ridiculous."
Oh, surprise party! Oh, come on! That part was funny.
Yeah.
The part where they show where everybody goes at the end or whatever, what happens to all the characters, I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I really don't.
No, because like they're funny, but you don't. There's never like you never like them on like a deeper level where like you understand them or you're like, oh, I love these characters. Like you never get to that. You never get there.
Exactly. Like those are like my favorite comedies. Like the Cable Guy with Jim Carrey comes to mind, where it's like, oh, dude, crazy, larger than life character. Oh, but like he has like feelings and stuff like that, and I like care. These characters, I don't care.
Right. You never get any of these characters on a deeper level.
Yeah. Anyway.
Which is unfortunate. And let's talk about John Candy just a little bit more, because it is still, believe it or not, a John Candy miniseries. And let's actually talk about that just for a second, because yeah, he's not in the movie that much. I wanted to pick this one because I've seen this movie before, and I wanted to pick this one because like this was one of his, if not this was basically his big break. You know, he was in a couple of movies before this, but like this was basically the movie that put him on the map, and he started to do bigger and better things after that. So like, actually, it's funny. Like he apparently went into a movie theater secretly to watch the audience, like, you know, just like react to the movie. He wanted to see audience reactions, and so when he first comes on screen, when he's like, what does he say? Like, is there any food on the
on this flight? Yeah.
Yeah, is there any food on this flight? Food on this flight. But so when he first appears in the movie, the audience goes crazy. They start clapping, and they're just like, they're just like, oh my god, yes, John Candy, I love that guy. And so he leaves the theater before the ending, and he's like, I think I just made it.
Ah, that's amazing. I love that. Yeah, no, he's really funny in this movie. Like, again, I said before that, like, he made me laugh, like, almost every single time he spoke. Because his delivery, like, I don't even know how he does it, because, like, he doesn't have all that much to do in this movie.
Right.
But, like, every single time, it's, like, spot on. It's hilarious.
Yeah, like, he's very, you know, gleeful in a way that, like, a bunch of his characters are, but also he has this kind of anger to him too and everything, and you see that in a couple of key scenes, especially when he runs to the door and opens the door or whatever. You know,
even in like the basic training scenes, like where it's just kind of like group shots of everybody, but like you see him, and I was like, oh dude, he's not doing all that bad. Like, he's like committing, and I was like, oh, I like that about his character, because everybody else kind of is like, oh, and he's like, no, let's freaking go, dude.
That's true. He is really committed to the role, and that's a very key thing you just mentioned. That like yeah, even when he's not talking, when he's just like in the scene, just like listening to people, and that's when you know you have a good actor, when the actors are also listening, not just like doing shit when it's their time to shine, but like when they're listening to other actors. That's, you know, John Candy does that too. He's very in character, you know, just like listening to everybody. So yeah, like that just goes to show how committed he was, how larger than life he was, and how, you know, great of a comedic and just actor in general he was.
It's true. Like, no matter what movie you're watching that features him, like, you're gonna remember John Candy. Like 1941, Blues Brothers, Home Alone. Even though he doesn't have the biggest parts in these movies, you're still going to remember him if you remember nothing else. Because he's so committed, he's so there, and he's so having fun, even through the anguish of what he has to do. Because, yeah, he had weight problems, and he was very sensitive about it. But that's kind of the case for any large actor who's going to be in comedy. You know, your Fatty Arbuckles, your Chris Farley's, Jonah Hill. Like, they know what they are, and they know what's going to make audiences laugh, and they put themselves out there anyway, even though it's probably going to hurt their mental health a little bit. So
yeah.
It's a commitment.
Yeah, and, you know, as I kind of mentioned before, you know, SCTV, that was kind of like in his early career, and even before that, in high school in Toronto, he wanted to be a football player. And he broke his knee, so that unfortunately didn't come into fruition. He was crushed about that. And so when he graduated high school, he took acting classes, and he met up with this agent and everything. And you know, he started to do, as you guys kind of mentioned, like little bit roles in like TV shows and whatnot. And yeah, so then Second City happened, SCTV happened in 1941, Blues Brothers, and then this happened. And as we kind of mentioned before, yeah, this was the movie that like people were like, oh, this John Candy guy is really funny. Like, I'm so engaged when he's on screen. And so, yeah, this is very much the beginning of his, unfortunately, very short but very prolific career.
Yeah, I had no idea, not to be a downer, but I had no idea he died like that young. Like, I knew he died, but he was like 44, I want to say. And it's like, oh, dude, he had so many more years to like.
And the sad part, even the sadder part about it, is that he was just about to start turning it around. Like, he looked at himself. He knew that he probably wasn't going to be long for this world if he didn't change. So he quit smoking. He looked at his family history. His grandpa died of a heart attack. His father died of a heart attack. But he needed to change things. So he films back to back. He films Canadian Bacon, directed by Michael Moore, and Wagons East. But while filming Wagons East, he died. So they they had to scramble to release that movie, and they released Canadian Bacon as his final film. And I can't imagine what his career would have been like if he had gotten to continue after Canadian Bacon.
Yeah, and that's something we'll kind of definitely dive deeper into in these next couple of episodes. But yeah, I think this is a good place to end our John Candy very first episode of NYC Actors Talk, John Candy, and our review of Stripes.
Stripes.
Oh, sorry, you were gonna say something, Hunter?
Oh no. I'll mention to you after we're good.
Oh, okay, behind the scenes. Okay, I see how this is, Hunter. You want to talk behind the scenes? You want to talk behind closed doors? Huh? You want to talk about Stripes some more?
Oh boy.
Let's just let's just go around and talk about our very final thoughts and rating out of 10 for this movie.
One last thing I wanted to mention. I think John Candy really is the heart of the film, just because of how much commitment he puts in. And if you look at the first cadence where they're doing the do-wah-dee-dee-dee-dee-dum-dee-dee-dee, John Candy actually taught the cast that song. So yeah, his imprint on the comedy of this film is much greater than people probably would give it credit for on a first viewing. So I love him in this movie. I love what this movie did for his career. The movie doesn't age as well as I wish it did. It doesn't make me laugh as much as it did back when I was a young teenager. So for the laughs I did get, for the nostalgia I do feel for the movie, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. I think that's probably fair.
Sweet. Yeah. And speaking of, we were talking about lovable characters, or characters that we love on a deeper level. I think John Candy is the closest to being a lovable character in Stripes. So that's something, that just shows how good he was. But yeah, so yeah, probably 6 out of 10 for me. I think it's okay. I think there are very funny parts in the movie. I think the cast is very funny. Bill Murray's killing it as always. Harold Ramis was always good. And yeah, John Candy was kind of a standout in this for sure. So yeah, 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Nick, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think 6 out of 10 is a pretty good placement for it. I enjoyed it. I think that, especially for a John Candy miniseries, I think that it's an important film to watch. And I'm glad that we did this movie. Yeah, it's all right. I laughed a few times, but yeah, I think that I'm glad that I watched it for John Candy purposes.
Cool. So yeah, that was our Stripes episode. Private Xander Kozak, thank you very much for being such a great guest.
Well, thanks for having me. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm sorry if I talked over you guys.
No, it's all right. That's Zoom, baby. That's Zoom for you.
That's true. It is Zoom, but
yeah, no.
This was fun.
Yeah, this was very fun. And be sure to check out our other John Candy episodes coming out in the coming weeks. We have 4 or 5 more episodes to go after this. We're definitely going to talk about movies like Splash, like Planes, Trains, Automobiles, Uncle Buck, Cool Runnings. So stay tuned for those episodes.
Yeah. Is it all right if I plug a couple of things?
Absolutely. Plug away.
So I got my own online presence on TikTok and Instagram. You can follow me there at Xander Kozack, and that's Xander with an X. But really exciting. I actually have my first acting job since joining the fire department back in 2018. Oh God. I'm voicing lead character of an animated series called Level 30, which is a Dungeons and Dragons animated show created by my friends Will Thomé and Michael Donovan. It's about this guy named Jeremy, who's a 30-year-old basement dweller who has no life direction, and he's obsessed with this virtual reality game called Keeps and Creatures. So the show takes place in those two perspectives, from his actual life and then in the game world that he's obsessed with. So that's in pre-production right now. We have an amazing cast and some amazing people working on the show, so there'll be more updates on that. Please follow Level 30 on TikTok and Instagram at level30official for some more updates. And it's going to be a real fun time.
Heck yeah, that sounds awesome.
Heck yeah. Guys, we made it through Stripes. We did it.
Get it.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to our episode. We have been NYC Actors Talk Film. We have a Instagram, NYC Actors Talk Film. We have a YouTube channel, NYC Actors Talk Film, where we do video versions of our episodes. We also... What else do we have, Hunter?
You have nice hair.
Instagram,
I already said that, Hunter.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, yeah, anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us.
Good. It's been a while. Good. We're good. We're doing all right.
We also, if you haven't already listened to our Robin Williams miniseries, you can go back and listen to that if you want. While you're waiting for.
Keep it going. Good. No, good. No, you're good. You're good.
While you're waiting for our new episodes to come out, you can go back and watch Robin Williams.
That's right. NYC Actors Talk Robin Williams. That was a blast to do. And yeah, thanks again for listening to our episode. Let me pull up the lyrics again to this fucking song. Wait a second. There she was, just a walking down the street, singing do a you look good. You look fine.
Look great.
Goodbye.
Podcast.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.